Right, hello and welcome to the good stuff. This is the big episode 6060.
Damn, is it?
None of us are, I don't think, are turning 60 right now, so that's good.
40 is bad enough.
Yeah.
It happens this month.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm still a 3. You're still a 3 though, right?
For now.
Yeah.
You're still a 3. You're ranking him on the show.
I mean,
out of 10, we'll give you a 3.
So am I. I'm still a 3 as well.
No way.
Yeah.
No. I always thought you were a 5. All right, God, am I the oldest one here?
Introduce our guest. It's not part of the
Oh yeah,
introduction,
so we got a guest. So returning to the show is Deadman Oz or AM.
Yep.
Yep.
Is this
Popular
episode
demands.
number 4? Like
About popular request by
fourth one?
Two of us.
Yeah.
this guy AM
And my
came
mum
up to us and he
called
was
in.
like,
She asked.
we're going
to do.
to talk AI. So I think we were discussing it at the recent Perth AI roundtable.
Yeah, it was a good
we said,
event.
Yeah, we should do another
Yep.
podcast. So I think we were arguing about whether AIs are more model or harness, and I was like offering the correct point of view, just to get us off to start here. That it's I think it's more harness than model. You were suggesting it seemed to be more model.
No, I think at the moment, like the last few months, 6 months or so,
Yep.
probably with all the point releases of the big model families, they certainly have been harness. They're not model related so much, but I think that there's some probably big model improvements coming, like new training runs, new step change capabilities.
Yeah.
And they'll come out sometime this year, right? So yeah, the recent changes are all to do with harness, largely. Maybe some tweaks to like post training and like a bit more like reinforcement learning.
We'll make this one the apology episode. Where
Yeah.
Just talk about how I'm right about it.
So, but I don't think models like the improvements in models are dead by any means. Like
No.
I think that we're going to still see
I don't think that either.
huge changes, and I think there'll be some soon.
I think the thing that got me on, I think harness is more important, is just that I saw myself do stuff with these models like months ago that you could then, people started to say, oh, this almost works now with this new model. Like, well, it worked with the old model, but you needed to think about how you actually work.
True.
So I was quite interested. I haven't tried this because it's a Claude Code like buried feature, but they've just done their
The workflow.
the workflow piece.
Yep. I played with it a little bit.
So I feel like that's the right direction. So that's where I ended up in Wingman, was to have, I call them pipelines, but they're like declarative workflows. Where you can say, like, we have a selection of functions, and then you have like steps and data that you can pass between them, and you can pretty much at runtime just say, oh, I'm going to create a pipeline that looks like this, and then run it, and it'll just run. But it just constrains the agents to work in a particular way, which forces better outputs. Where, like, I always thought the agent swarm idea of like, oh, I is a manager and this guy's a worker, and they're going to talk to each other and pass stuff backwards and forwards. Like, it sounds like it should really work, but like they just got way too confused in my mind. So I'd be curious to see, like, what was the Claude implementation like? What did you get out of it?
So what was I doing? Some breadth first, then depth. Research. So I've been working in Bitcoin like monitoring for the last few months, focusing on that.
Congratulations.
I got a grant from Spiral, so it's been good to have some income coming in. But well, like I'll talk about this later. But you know, when you get given these tools, I think you fall into. I found myself fall into the trap a few times where I'm just think I'm more capable than I am of achieving a lot. So I'm like trying to have lots of pots on the stove, and I'm just in the kitchen at the moment, and I've just spilled hot liquid everywhere. My hands are burnt, like I've cut my hands up and stuff. Like I'm just struggling to rein it in and bring some order to the chaos that I've brought among myself.
An overwhelm sort of thing? Like, is it you're trying to do too much at the same time, or something that's too complicated? Like,
I think it's a bit of like.
Is it breadth or depth? I guess
it's a bit of like the token maxing kind of. You sometimes you want to like be efficient with your token use, like especially if you're paying like hundreds of dollars a month, and so you've got multiple things on the go, and you're just bouncing between them. But then at some point you stop really paying attention to close enough attention to any of them, and then you go down like a bit too far. And you're like, oh shit, like where am I again? I get really disoriented, so I've kind of got myself into a bit of a funk. But back to the workflows. So I've been looking at a whole bunch of like shitcoins, basically chains, to try and get some data for Bitcoin. There's like some niche data associated with Bitcoin, stale blocks that are sometimes tied up with these shitcoins. So
Really?
yeah, so like I've been looking at like 20 odd like the blockchains of 20 like shitcoins to try and find stale blocks on Bitcoin. And it was really good to sort of set like a uniform direction for like looking for evidence and just setting it off. And it was just capable of sort of like doing that breadth of research, and then the workflows would, like the agents would dive into the depth, like go hard on each one of them. So
I mean, this is something that we've been talking about on a different piece of work that we're looking at the moment. But like, there's almost like these situations where you want to say something like, just find me like 20 things like this, or something like that. And it's like and the way people describe it on Twitter or on the internet, or like if Rogan talks about it, it'd be like, yeah, you give the AI and it just magically does it. And you're like, it doesn't. It'll like at best it might just lie or something like this. But what you actually need is to go through this process of going like, all right, well, there's like, I can see how I might work this out if I was me, and I would go like, I'll go and find some stuff over here, and then I'll apply these sorts of filters, and I'll see what drops out, and then maybe I'll take some of that stuff and I'll do this. And there's this whole process for how you do it, and then for any step in that process, there might be like, I don't know, like 1,000 strategies you could try. So like for finding stuff, so, try this, try that, try this, try that, and you kind of want to invent them on the fly, try them out, see what you get back, go into that stuff. Are you having to work like that, or because?
No, I think the power of a lot of these tools is sort of a lot of the complexities sort of being black boxed, and I guess for people that like control, that's not ideal. But for the masses, the general populace, to use these things, they want to have that level of power, I suppose, to be able to achieve a lot in parallel and go quite deep or far, and sort of have these agents tenaciously like try and work towards something.
Yeah.
Without really having to specify all the scaffolding and sort of all of the checkpoints. So the workflows that Claude or Anthropic have implemented seem quite good at sort of setting those like internal checkpoints or objectives, and knowing like when to sort of spin it off into a new agent or a new context window. So a lot of, we've done a lot of like context window like management, right, for the last year and a half, whatever. Like you're always thinking about how much context have I got left, so how can I make sure the next session is like imbued with the correct information to sort of like keep momentum. And I guess the tools are getting a lot better at linking that, so you don't have to deal with that per se. Like it's all carried through, it's all linked together, like without you need to worry about it. So
do you know at all like how the workflows run in Claude Code? Like what makes them different to the agent swarms and the sub-agents that they were using previously?
Not exactly. I think it ties into the goal. You could set those explicit goals and then have it like sort of work towards that. I guess it's tying that into, there's a bit more explicit. You can see all of the workflows or the agents working, so you can go in and check on any of them, see what their status is. Whereas with the goal, I think it was just like, it's a bit more opaque, so you can see what's going on and you can sort of steer them if you want to. But there does seem to be a lot of internal state that's managed by like an orchestrator. And then that is very like the context windows very much kept very clean in that, I suppose, and then all of the complexities built out into the agents that are called. Look, it's early days. I think it's been like a week since it dropped, so it was kind of useful, but I've tried to use it in situations where it's not relevant. So it's like, I'll use a workflow to do this work, and it's like, actually, like this work needs to be done sequentially. We're looking at it. It's like analyzes sort of logically analyzes the steps you need to do to achieve something, and it says like, actually, we don't need a workflow for this. You need to do this, then this, then this, then this. It's very much a dependency chain there, so there's no benefit to the workflow, which is more about like doing a few things in parallel, tying them together,
Okay.
So it's about like that parallelism or the concurrency that.
Yeah, okay. I think maybe I interpreted it a bit differently because I thought it was probably more about the sequential work. Because I use like sequential work like quite a lot.
Maybe because I've got my own skill, which is like a sort of carrying things to completion. So spec something out, and then I'll carry it through review, implementation review, like PR, whatever. So I have noticed it says like actually don't use the workflow. You've already got a skill for this that will do that sequential work. So we're going to use this instead.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether it's preferentially picking up on my skills capabilities or it's not capable of doing that.
Yes,
I'm not too sure on that actually.
I think this is the area where I always get a little bit worried with a lot of the Anthropic stuff. Is that I can never quite tell what it's doing. It's often not doing what I think it's doing, and it's like when I observe the results, I'm like, like this isn't. You've kind of got somewhere, but you've kind of gone this weird way to get here that doesn't quite make sense to me at the end of it. Whereas, and I think a lot of that comes down to, I feel like they run with the wrong substrate for the control. Like I feel like there's a real bias in Anthropic that, like, the agent is the thing that drives everything, and so everything is being like called actively by an agent, as opposed to having like an agent make a decision and then have code call the next sort of thing that would happen.
Yeah.
So everything's kind of called at runtime in an agent loop, and I think when you do that, you introduce just that like way more randomness than you might want into a lot of those sort of discussions. And there's a lot of like hoping agents remember to do something. Because I'm a big fan of having agents do small pieces of work and then just throwing them away and starting with a new one, and like carrying through the context of the thing, but like not trying to like cloud out instructions. So I think that's where I would worry about that workflow stuff.
But do you think that's like a byproduct of them trying to build this like broadly agnostic product that is meant to work for everybody to do everything?
Maybe.
That's
I
like
think
the
it's a
limitation.
lock-in, really.
Yeah.
It's like
I think there's also like just some like philosophical worldviews of theirs, right?
Yeah.
They're very much like quite out and proud about, you know, we're trying to build super god or whatever. And you're like, all right, well, good for you. GFY.
Takes a special sort to want to recreate gods. That's for sure.
But so I don't think, like, I think a lot of it is that like they think that the agent is the computer these days, whereas I kind of think the computer's the computer and it can talk.
Yeah.
And I come at it from a different way personally.
Yeah.
And I've tried both, but I just don't. I feel like I never get the results I want out of agents. Whereas if I'm way more like, I mean, like you were saying about attention, right? Like half the problem you've got at the moment is like I start all this stuff and then I'm like, this is all fucking meaningless. Like, why have I done this? Like, it's like, what am I doing? Like, why did I even start?
Yeah.
And like, if I'm paying attention, I mean, as I say this, I've got like an agent at home just chunking through like a massive build that's been running for like 3 hours now. But there's a lot of structure in how it's being controlled. So but that's a bit of an experiment.
Yeah.
But usually I find, and I'm happy to throw it away with you, but like usually I find that like I really do need to be involved in paying attention, otherwise it just like drifts.
Yeah.
And I was trying to like find a way to like talk about it with people where you say like, look, it's like you can say like go over there, but like to get, I don't know, it doesn't translate as well in Australia because road directions are kind of just like, you know, you go south and you turn left, but like
every 5 episodes.
yeah, I think it's like, okay, do I?
Yeah.
I don't think it's that frequent.
Wow.
No, I've heard it maybe three
Okay.
times. Yeah.
But yeah, I think like the
3 times
road,
in 60 episodes,
you know, like the
like
road
that.
sign, like sort of stuff, where it's like, I mean, maybe you should give the example.
No,
You say that,
I can't remember the time.
Say in the UK, you would say you get down there and you start off by just going south. And I guess you're roughly in the right direction, and then you zoom in on it as you get closer. But like there's something about like the agents, like when you let them drive themselves, they'll be like, say on the motorway going south, and then they go, oh, I could go left here. They're just not on the motorway now, and they just don't think to go back on the motorway. And if you were there, you'd be like, guys, like why are we on this like weird little B road going south? Like, yes, you're still going south, but you're not doing it the correct way, and you have to like steer them back on. But like the longer I let them run uninterrupted, there's just these like little bits of randomness that creep in that just push them out somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I think you have to really like pay attention to keep them on track.
I think that that's maybe one reason why the current hotness seems to be reasoning, like, and really ramping up the reasoning capabilities of these like model ecosystems. So I mean, Mythos, I think, is probably like the thing that differentiates it from like Opus 4.8 and its predecessors.
Is it that it's made up?
I think it's the reasoning. They're really like post-trained.
How do you know? You haven't seen it.
No, I'm just guessing that it's all about the reasoning. So like same thing with OpenAI. So they had like a scientific breakthrough somewhat with the ERDOS, one of the ERDOS problems, and this was like one of the most famous outstanding ERDOS problems. So one of these like problems that this mathematician Paul ERDOS.
What's an ERDOS problem? For the audience.
Paul ERDOS
Although
was, I think it's Paul ERDOS, was like a super prolific mathematician, operating in like the 30s and 40s and the like, and he was just like famously like a
like
massive chain smoker, like
in our 30s and 40s.
Just like maybe he's on amphetamines as well at the time, but he was like super prolific, like had a whole bunch of grad students that went on to do like great work in maths. He thought about a lot of disciplines in maths and came up with these like
sort of hard
he tried
problems.
to formalize like what was still outstanding knowledge that needed to be sort of resolved, and he had a whole bunch of problems he came up with. And there's over the years,
like women. I'm very unsure about that. How does that work?
not exactly.
For mathematicians,
they're things. They're like they're not like the grand challenges of maths, so to speak. Those are sort of already been well articulated by people prior, but they're still hard problems that we would like to solve and know the solutions to. So anyway, there's like this website that lists all these problems, and every now and again some of these get picked off by mathematicians, and recently LLMs have been sort of like having a go at them. OpenAI last year said that they had, this is October I think, they were like, we've like solved 10 of these problems, like our ChatGPT, whatever it was, 5.3 or something, solved these problems, and then like within 24 hours they retracted it, because all it had actually done was like a sophisticated literature review to find that people had actually solved these problems somewhere in maths, but they hadn't sort of been formally recognised as solutions to ERDOS problems. So they were like, they kind of backtracked. It had done something useful. It had actually like done a really good literature review on the internet and on scientific papers, but it actually wasn't novel in any way, right? So that's where things were in October, but the last few weeks they have actually come out and solved one of the most famous of these outstanding problems, and it has been recognised by the math community as being a legit novel solution. And so what they attribute it to is that OpenAI have been building a general purpose reasoning model, and they didn't use anything that was specific for math, at least that's what they claimed.
So did the grand math model.
So they're saying we have got this general purpose reasoning model that was able to derive this new mathematical insight, novel insight that humans have been trying to do for like 60, 70 years, and now the AI's done it. So there's been like Fields medalists, that's the Nobel Prize of sort of maths. They've come out and backed this result. They said like, this is legit.
Appeal to authority.
Appeal to authority, but
that's
the way science kind of works a little bit.
Well, yeah. I mean, it doesn't. It works by falsifiability, and everybody will be able to replicate the answer.
Sure, but
so it's not
in the realm of like Large Hadron Colliders and the like. I can't
it's
do
still
particle.
It's still how science works. If it's not falsifiable, it's not science.
Yeah. Okay, so it has got sort of support from the math community that this is like
that's interesting.
It is a new discovery, and where have I gone with this whole arc? It's a general purpose reasoning model that OpenAI have been working on, and I think that's the same as what Mythos is. The capabilities are there. There's like better reasoning models. They spend a lot more of the compute to reason. So
is it also just building itself a whole bunch of tools and scripts as it's going? Because it feels like a language
sounds
model.
like a harness, doesn't it?
Yeah. A little bit, yeah, because you know what I mean, like, is it purely reasoning, or is it going, I'm reasoning, and then in order for me to solve this part of this problem, I need to build this script or this tool over here? Because it feels like a math problem for a language model is like
Well,
it's the wrong problem for a hammer to solve without the tooling, without. The
so
scaffolding.
what seems to be these current generations seem to be good at is like linking very different or disparate fields together. So one of the insights that, from what I understand, like this was the foundation of this breakthrough is that they applied one particular branch of mathematics, some like insights from that onto this combinatorial problem that it solved, and so that link was kind of like the novelty, I suppose, like tying that thing over here to over here, and that's what like people like Terence Tao, who again is like
it's kind of how stuff happens, though, right? Is it when you get this cross-functional mix of people coming together, exposing ideas, that you suddenly get breakthroughs and new knowledge?
I don't think
that makes a lot of sense.
That capability is also like
work. That sounds more
bringing
real.
links together that sort of were not foreseen, and then also reasoning about like reasoning on steroids about the unnecessary like layers of logic you need to apply to like say, this is a sound argument, right? Where do we get to this? So I think that what we're going to see is when you talk about like going off track and setting direction to south, and then it sort of drives off. I think reasoning will help these models stay on track and continue.
Sorry to bother you, man.
Yeah.
You guys got lighter by any chance?
I don't think I do. Sorry.
No,
I don't.
all good.
Cheers. So I think that they're going to as
Live. No
live,
That's why we do it. Yeah. Future fan of the pod, probably.
Sorry, mate. We'll just give you a business card. I think they're going to get better at checking along the way, like reasoning. Am I going in the right direction? Am I going in the right direction? So bringing themselves back to where they should be going.
I wonder if they, like, it's going to be hard. I wonder if this is a hard problem or like an impossible problem. Like in the way that, like, I think it goes off track because it doesn't know, and a lot of it is that you can't, like, the thing that it's supposed to be is the complete thing. It's like, say, in Bitcoin, right? Like the consensus is the code. And you can't describe the consensus seemingly, and that's been a problem.
For the
People
whole working on
like
that.
exactly. But and so, for me to do all the work to adequately describe to this thing where it needs to go, I've kind of done the thing. And so, if it doesn't have like an innate idea of where I'm going, it can't reason with itself to go where I want to go because it doesn't know. And even I don't know. And even if I tried to express it, I'd spend so long expressing it that I really haven't saved any time. And therefore, like, so I almost feel like unless it has its own desires of where it wants to go, I don't know how it steers itself.
Yeah, I think it's going to.
I think you have to steer it. I think this is why we.
I think you still will have to steer a lot some of the time. I don't know. I think it's going to be increasingly.
You just won't steer as much.
Yes, right.
Yeah,
It'll get better at reasoning about, is this a reasonable direction to go? I think that's where things are going off course. It's not sort of like along the way saying, is this like the right direction? The stated goal is this, and I'm now doing this. Like, this seems like tangential. Maybe I need to course correct, right?
Well, that makes a lot. I mean, again, like, these are experiments we're playing with at the moment of saying, like, look, here's a plan. Like, we're going to do just this bit, and then you die, and then somebody else comes along and says, did they stick in the right direction? And you can get it to course correct.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess I'm becoming way more bullish that you still need way more humans paying attention to this than I think you did. Like, if you'd have asked me a year ago, I would have been like, I don't know why you need the humans. And then I think my experience in the last year is like, it just does nothing useful without it solving a problem in the world, and you kind of need the person to be the translator of that problem.
It's always about the problems, right?
Which is part of my question about Anthropic. Like, are they just a victim of not actually having a specific problem to solve?
I think they've got. I disagree. I think that maybe. I'm surprised that like. Originally I thought that OpenAI were like the product company, but I think OpenAI are kind of quite fragmented, and their like attention is scattered. They've got like they had Sora, they had video, they had image, they've got the image stuff.
Yeah.
They've got
they look like an academic. Like,
they've just got everything.
Everything that
They've got everything. Yeah. So academic.
There's no like
sense
product
of,
thinking about
they've got product,
why have I done this?
They've got product thinking, but they've just like not focused. They've like spread themselves too thin. They exhausted so many
There were more like
resources.
demos
for video.
of the tool.
Yeah.
It's like when you first got a PlayStation back in the day, and you'd get like the demo disc, and it was like 5 minutes of lots of different things that you could do on this, but no good game. That's kind of what they've done. They produced the demo disc of AI.
Whereas Anthropic are
that's not
focused. They're like, all right, well, we're not doing image, we're not doing video, we're just doing like chat and then like the coding stuff, and then they're pushing hard into the enterprise world as well. I think they've been very focused in their product execution, and I mean, I see them. They're the ones that generally have the features that are copied by others, right? So they seem to be better at that product thinking, and I think the whole like, I don't know if they're a victim of their own success or if they're not thinking about this critically. I think they're trying to lock into that because they want.
I feel like they're a bit like Google in that sense. Like Google had a hit which was like Maps and Gmail and search, right? And then there's like a list of like Google failed projects that are out there in the world that were just meaningless and got abandoned straight away. I feel that Anthropic are a little bit like this, where like they've got Claude Code, and that was like a brilliant insight and really worked. And then they just chuck a lot of shit at the wall, and it all it comes out with tons of hype, and then it all disappears. Like there seems to be very little that persists. And I have access to obviously all of them, and I can move between them quite seamlessly, but I never use Claude Code. I always have a worse experience on Claude Code than I do on
But I think
Codex.
that's like that's the right. That's kind of like the right way to build products, to build features and just to throw them out there and see what sticks. So Google do this on like that. Google's flaw is that they keep products out there in the market for years, and then they get sort of a niche use, and then they're like, we're going to kill it now. And then you get like all these like hardcore people, like, you know, they really love this product, and it gets killed and then pisses people off. Whereas Anthropic are killing things like early, like quickly.
I can buy that.
And I think that's the way you build products. You throw out a feature, see what sticks, and then
So it's
iterate
more
on
that
it.
they've got a good product like approach.
Yeah,
And
their mentality
ship.
is like very much.
You've
like
got to give them
product
that. They
first.
do
ship.
ship.
They
Yeah,
ship like
okay,
crazy,
that's-
and
that makes
they
sense.
experiment, and I think that's.
Okay. I thought you were almost saying that like everything they do is a hit.
No.
And I was like, I
far
feel
from that.
like almost nothing they do is a hit. It always comes out as though it's already a hit, and then you experience it and you go, "Oh, this is horrible." Like, I don't know if any of the Twitter people used it. They just talked about it based on the press release. But like, so Claude Code was like a legit hit.
Yeah.
Like that was a difference.
That is also just like influencer marketing, right? Like people get paid to push this stuff. So
The like say Claude design.
the Twitter stuff.
Oh
yeah. That is a marketing phenomenon that exists. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's annoying because it's hard to like.
It really is frustrating.
Yeah, it's easier to see on like Instagram, right? It's like this person has no connection to this product, but they're shilling it. But then someone on like Twitter is a tech person and they're shilling this thing, and so that line is blurred. And you might go, this person has good takes usually.
I mean, they still should be declaring it as an ad.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, if it is an ad, if they're
think so.
paid, it's illegal in like what the US and Australia. So anyway,
Yeah.
give me their names. Let's report
Yeah.
them.
It's interesting as well with Anthropic, right? Because they seem to be like the loudest on the kind of the doomer takes as well. And like I think to some degree this is self-serving from like two different perspectives. One is like it helps them go after an enterprise crowd, because the enterprise crowd's where they're like, okay, we can go and put forward deployed engineers in the business and get them all like completely locked in. And once these guys are locked in, you know, they've got the capital and capacity to kind of like roll with us as we increase prices. But then on the other side of the coin, they can lift the ladder up from anyone else that might want to compete with them. And so it kind of feels like, yeah, you've got a great product, but now let's go and like do what big companies do and just go and use that market power and go and lobby government.
I mean, can you bemoan them, right? Because like, that's what everyone does. Like,
No, of course.
it's just the way business is done.
Well, I mean, I
in
can.
tech, right?
I can bemoan them. It's not what I do.
To some degree, I think,
That's why I'm not successful.
to some degree, I think it's more about the way you go and do it. You know, like when you're just spruiking fear. Like they would probably, a lot of people would probably be like, do you know what? They would come to the same conclusion we do and go, actually, this is going to be a net positive for more humans. We need more humans around these tools. But then they're going around saying, well, this is going to wipe everyone's job, and that is beneficial for them purely from a regulatory perspective, not from a product perspective. You see what I mean? Like those things are not in alignment.
I feel like
Yeah.
it's like they're not even that nice about it. It's like
Yeah.
it's going to take your job, but also it's going to kick you in the fucking nuts. And you're like, come on, like, do we need that bit? Can it not just steal my job?
I feel like maybe like Sam and Dario have tried to walk this back a little.
Oh, they
bit.
are.
Or they really want people to pay attention to like because there's this is hugely impactful. So they just like wake up, guys.
Yeah.
Maybe they're doing reason to get people to pay attention, but they don't actually.
You're giving them way more credit than that.
But it's marketing, right? I mean, like, how do you get people in enterprise who are traditionally like very slow to move on anything, like trying to move fast on something?
That's
it's
a good
like
point.
you make it existential, and then they're like, shit, all right, bring your forward deployed engineers and guys, we'll open up the shop for you. Kind of feels like that's one reason, and then the other one is like, how do you cut through government? Turn it into an existential crisis, and government's like, oh shit, we should regulate. Help us write the regs. And then they're going to be like, oh yeah, well, let's carve out this exemption over here for Anthropic and OpenAI.
That's
we'll
it.
carve
It's
out
just,
that one over there.
We've seen it played out enough times now, and we've seen that it tends to lead to shitter results for real people. But like, it's not a game I particularly want to play and be too involved in, or give them too much credit for. I mean, this is why I find it hard to get excited about. When you're saying about like the way they've solved that maths problem, it's like, yeah, I'd like to see the model before I give them too much credit, because they lie consistently. Like, we constantly see lies about how great stuff is, and then you get your hands on it, and it's not. And so, like, you can't lie constantly and then just get credit time after time.
Yeah. I think they got, because they got called, they retracted back in October, like OpenAI so quickly, within 24 hours they like backtracked their claim because they got called out. Like,
it's weird. I feel like OpenAI is the nicer one these days. Like, it felt like
I do feel
a year ago
like
I would have said that they were the baddie, and
Anthropic
were kind of the young upstart goodie.
Absolutely.
I'm
of the same opinion. Yep.
They're both not just bad.
I was like,
I think they probably are both baddies. Yeah, good point.
I was like, I'm not going to touch that code base with OpenAI.
I know what you mean, though,
because I don't want
it's like Vader versus Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Although, Vader was, he came good in the end, but he did kill a lot of children, so
that's
it's
it's one hell of an arc to turn back to the good side. Yeah.
But look, there's been heaps of great work happening in the local LLM space. Like that's gone gangbusters, and
I mean, thank God the Chinese are all about free markets.
I know. Who would have thought?
Yeah, well, not me, but here we are. It's the world
we've got the Chinese with all of their Kimi and DeepSeek and all that, GLM. And then the Americans, obviously, we've got Gemma 4 coming out of Google, which is probably pretty shit and woke, but we got the Europeans, Mistral, who aren't chasing the frontier anymore. They're just sort of taking a step back and making more bespoke, as I understand, like more bespoke products for like particular niches. So they're going after European organizations and enterprises, like not the frontier capabilities, but stuff that really integrates with like organizations like Airbus or whatever. They're like getting their tooling inside those organizations. So more of a like, hey, we've got the latest hotness, here you go, handball it, like more of an integration piece. So understanding like what the business needs and building the product suite in that way. But like the Chinese, like I think we should all be grateful for the local models that are coming out of China. Like,
so this was a bit of a discussion at the session, at the round table. Third first day of the month, 6 p.m. Rocky Ridge Brewery, maybe?
If you're in Perth.
Potentially. If you're in Perth. We might have to move it because they diddled me on the room this time, which was a bit frustrating.
A little unreliable.
Anyway, so one of the things that came up was like, all right, our Chinese model's just complete trash. And I mean, they don't seem to be. Like, I don't necessarily think they're as good as like always the best one, but even being like 6 months behind, with my general view that I don't rely too much on the model being super intelligent, but more around like building workflows that it can work with. Like, I think you can get most of the stuff that I want to do, I can do with them.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious about how that ties into like the business models of your Anthropics and OpenAI's, because like they need to keep pushing for the frontier, because like I don't know like what the half-life on a new model would be in terms of like at what point does it start like rapidly commoditizing, whereas like if you take any other capital intensive business, that amount of R&D usually translates into value over a much longer period of time. Like maybe it's just a year, right? And then there's like maybe it's less. I don't even know. And then you've got to keep pushing for the new frontier model and the new use case. And I'm like, how sustainable is that? Maybe it's like super sustainable. You just keep pushing this forever. Like, I don't actually know the answer, but it feels like that is quite challenging because at least for most capital-intensive businesses, you get that you get that longer runway on something that you've produced, like a fab. Like fabs are still pretty valuable like 5 years later, but a model seems to be like 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you know Dax Rad? He's the guy behind Open Code.
I know of Open Code, but I don't know.
So he's the guy that built Open Code. He also is one of the partners in Terminal.shop, where you can buy coffee over SSH, but not in Australia, unfortunately. It's quite funny. You SSH to the website, and it just gives you like a full 2e for ordering your coffee and setting up repeat orders and stuff. It's like, this is sweet.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's actually quite fun. But anyway, aside. But yeah, like he was recently talking a lot about how like inference is a great business model in the sense that you get these GPUs, you can run these models on them, and they are like if you don't have to do any of the upfront training, like the margins on the inference is insane, and they can make tons of money from it. And so they have their like Open Code Zen stuff where they'll source like a bunch of local models and just stick a big thing on it. So he's got some insight into it. But then the flip side of that was like that's okay if you don't do any of the capital investment inside the model.
Yeah.
But to continually, so the thing that eats up all the models and why they're, seen as being like loss leaders when you're doing the inference on these things, and you're only paying $200 a month, it's not necessarily that it's not the inference necessarily that you're losing the money on. It's just the overall cost of rolling in like the capital that went to create that model. So I guess there's a little bit of me that looks at it and goes, well, once the model's created, running it is quite cheap. So even if we just stopped now, like you could just drive down prices and run more of them, and they already operate faster than humans do.
Yeah.
It would be fine.
This is the Jevons thing, though, right? Like,
I don't think we will. I think we'll continually try to. Push
it's like what
throw money
to the math problem as well. It's like what does the new frontier model enable you to do that we just couldn't envisage before? And you've got to have an answer to that in order for it to be valuable, I think, because if you're just doing like screening of resumes faster with a better frontier model, which you could have done with like 4 models previously, like then there's no point because now you're just burning a lot of capital to do the same job.
Yeah,
I think that I
probably don't need Mythos to continually say what's the git command for.
But I will keep asking for it.
Yeah, I'm never going to write it down.
I mean, like Andre Karpathy had that auto research thing that got a lot of airtime a few months ago, and that was about training a model and having training like an LLM or sort of some machine learning model, and having like an agent or a model sort of manage that process. So that it's a closed system. The human sort of specifies what they want to achieve, and then the model then trains the model and does like all of the things that normally humans would set up, all the like hyperparameter sweeps, like all the augmentations on data, like blah 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 blah. So all of that was done by a model, and the idea is that you can get a self-improving system by getting a model to improve it kind of itself. It wasn't doing it in the auto research. It was one capability like training another capability and getting that in the closed system. But Andre has been hired by Anthropic, and I believe he's going to be working on the pre-training team. So that's like the internet scale data, getting that into like a usable form for putting into a model, like training the first stage of these like frontier models.
Yeah.
But doing that in a way that building a system to get that pre-training automated. So it's just it's self-improving a model that trains itself, I guess, to feed into the next stage. And the idea is that eventually we'll have escape velocity. These models are capable of self-improving themselves, and they just keep on getting better and better and better, just autonomously. Like we don't have to intervene in any way. That's one of the goals of these labs. Like that will unlock the sort of the country of geniuses in a data center, or whatever the quote is, right? Like that's what they're angling for.
Do you ever wonder if like you're going to end up with too much intelligence that it just doesn't make any sense and it can't do anything useful. Like, because like there's assumption that like we want a task to be done. We're moving like this step in this process. We say, well, we may as well get the most intelligent person to do it. But I wonder if like with humans, you sometimes find that like somebody really intelligent is not that useful in a lot of situations.
Yeah, they don't have street smarts or something.
Yeah, like I don't know. I wonder if that's like a factor of intelligence or something else. Like what would be going on there? I wonder if we'll find out that like all of a sudden we go to Mythos 10 and it's just it can't.
It's like,
It
what's
just
the point?
can't write a tweet anymore. It's just like, it just like bemoans itself and sits in a library or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, robotics are coming right as well. So there's going to be like at the moment it's all digital, like it's all a digital self-improvement, but eventually there'll be the manufacturing capacity that's hooked into this as well. So then it's like, then you get the nanobots like self-replicating at some point.
What a wonderful apocalypse it'll be.
The robotic stuff to me seems less obvious, purely because you have like so much government interference. Like the classic example would be like, look at any of our ports in Australia, right? Why are they not like China's? We've got the robotics now, and they just won't.
So you know,
because we have union power, right? Like, and it doesn't really matter which side of government is in power. That can't change. It just doesn't.
Yeah, it feels like we want the port to just work,
Yeah.
and instead we're going to have robot dogs doing surveillance and
Exactly.
shooting us.
Yeah.
So, for
It'll be
fuck's sake.
exactly the worst.
Isn't it
time.
weird, like how the regulation seems to work in that way?
Because the one like big group that wants this the most seems to be all the defence contractors and the military, and yeah, they're prepared to pay the money for it. It's pretty dystopian because that's the problem. You
like-
could have like really efficient like port infrastructure that just works, and
sure.
everything
And then you
gets
have
delivered.
like maybe the remit of government is not just to make an efficient society, like
No, it's to be a mob.
to be a mob. But yeah, like you know, there's like huge job losses. I don't know how many people work in ports. There's probably heaps, right? And so as soon as you
None of them. They have a union, so none of them work. Like it's-
yeah, unionism. That's one
Working
matter.
hours.
Separate
maybe
matter.
two of them at most. Like,
But there's a protectionist aspect there.
oh yeah, a lot of them are paid by forces. Yeah, that's true.
Sure, they want it, but they're like worried about what the repercussions are. Like,
Yeah.
even like I remember in South Australia, like when Mitsubishi used to make cars there, and the government was just like pumping in, and you know Holden was there, pumping in so much money just to like keep the manufacturing there, and it just became like so expensive to do it. Like, all right, well, we got to let this go.
Yeah.
But it was a big political football, and you know, the numbers of people that lost their jobs weren't large, but there was massive pressure to like keep a few thousand people employed. Like, it was crazy, right? So, I mean, you guys talk about in previous pods the mining industry. Like,
Yeah.
can you imagine like what would happen if even small number of job losses in the mining industry in Perth? Like,
I think the whole city goes to shit.
ripple effect would
frankly.
be
Like,
like
yeah.
crazy. So there's like a
And I think it's
But
coming.
it's
like,
happening
it's gonna-
anyway, right? To some degree, they are automating quite a bit.
So I think it gets slowed down.
Yeah, it's on a
yeah, it's
longer
like
time horizon,
it's
yeah.
slowed down, right? Like artificially slowed down. Yeah, it's
But it just means you'll then lose out because, you know, the mines in Africa come on. And we just do all the stuff there instead.
Yeah.
So then
Seems
you
to
just
happen
lose,
one way or
you'll
another.
lose the jobs naturally through competition, if not, you know, through automating yourself. Then at least you kept it here and you own the production, you own the capital assets and stuff. But alas.
But, I mean, my view on this is that if you keep driving up the costs of things, then the price of like the goods you pay will go up commensurately, right? So like you see this yesterday, we like had an increase in the minimum wage. That's a whole different debate, but you should expect a commensurate increase in the goods and services that you're going to be paying for.
Yeah, of
like
course,
that
yeah.
is just going to happen. So similarly, it's like, yeah, okay, government's remit is not necessarily to make for an efficient society, but it might be to keep costs under control.
Well, I mean,
And so-
it's to criminalise like the working for $15 or whatever it is. It's like, no, that's illegal now. You can't have that job. So we have to automate it. So they'll moan about automation, but then at the same time, you're literally not allowed to work.
I think there are pockets as well. It's like, I mean, the answer is probably not in like a cafe or a bar or restaurant, which are like, those are like human endeavours to some degree. I'm sure there are aspects of those jobs that could be like improved for sure, but And maybe people who work those jobs don't particularly like them, so maybe that's like, maybe not a good example. I use a port because it is like a piece of essential infrastructure that's meant to serve the entire country, or at least the state that it operates in. And so like that feels like a useful proxy for something like automation, because everyone benefits, except maybe the people who get paid a shitload of money to work in those ports.
Yeah.
I'd argue
You said work. Like, let's not use loaded terms.
Work in like, inverted like quotation marks that no one can see.
You can't sit here and criticise them. You don't know. Come on.
I've got
That's true.
I've got no idea. I really don't. But when you look
Council
at
workers
when you look
don't
at
know.
port infrastructure in China, it's like it's quite impressive the way that system works. And so we should get an efficiency dividend from something like that, right? And I think that's where the opportunity is for automation. Like, I'm still not really all that bullish on like robots in your house. Like I kind of see this from like a few different companies that like Figure has like a robot, like Elon's guy is like Tesla bot as well. And I can't think of too many things that I'd want like a humanoid robot running around in my house doing. Like I don't need it to do my dishes. Like that feels like it's a lot of capital invested in an area.
I mean, we already have a dishwasher.
I have a
robot.
dishwasher, yeah. You already have like vacuum cleaners that will go around and they map the area.
I already have
slave
slave
Nah,
children.
I
have children
I-
for
you
this.
can
Come
put
on.
the kids to work.
I disagree.
kids
As
first.
soon as like there's a affordable like robot to do household chores that's like reliable, I'm gonna go on. Because even still, I've got a dishwasher. Still have to do the dishes like almost every day because there's all these pots and there's all this shit that just doesn't fit in the dishwasher.
But do you
or
think this
putting
is
clothes
like,
out, like these things just eat into your like.
Don't you think this is like the easy thing to
Putting
do
clothes out.
if you work?
Oh wow!
It takes like 40 minutes. You got 3 loads of washing, 4 loads of washing.
It's like we do the consumer robot.
Thank God there's a leaf blower.
Yeah.
That's going to be used to blow sand.
So we,
I think you had the lighter though for the other
Got a
guy.
fan.
Yeah.
It's got a leaf blower.
It's not
Like, we're good.
Sports sticks, yeah.
All right.
no, I was going to ask, like, do you think like the consumer robot is just like that's the easier thing to do than to go and automate a port because you just can't fight government on this? You can't fight.
Oh, in terms of like
Regulatory.
probably.
But that's my point, right? It's like
Yeah.
the efficiency dividend for something like that. That feels like a lot of capex to go and solve problems that are not.
Product like
No, I don't know how much you really gain from that. Kind of like a humanoid robot in the house. Like, I couldn't tell you enough.
I feel like it's my like Luddite line that we're crossing there. So I do not want something like this
it's not
physical that's controlled.
It's not even that. It's
In
also
my
maybe
house.
just a form factor thing. It's like, do I need like one? This is again comes back to like whether a product is like too agnostic or whether it should just solve a particular problem. It's like I have a dishwasher. Maybe there's an element of like me not wanting to put pots in the dishwasher that I could circumvent that and that might be handy. But I'm already not really doing all of the vacuum. Well, I do the vacuuming because I don't have the little like robotic vacuum cleaner. But I've looked at some and they look quite cool and I'd quite like to get one. And I'm like, okay, like what else? What's the next thing? Like at what point am I just going to be sat on my couch just watching the robots?
what are you
do
gonna
all
well
the
then what? Yeah, like I mean,
You know.
it's more about like what could you do with that extra time you've got? That's the way I see it.
I just
right?
feel like that's such a huge investment in capex for a very limited efficiency benefit that doesn't really pay itself back.
you might get an extra hour a day or something. I don't know. Depends on your circumstances. An hour of housework you might not be doing. You could watch TV, another hour of TV. Great, good on you. I don't think it's worth it if you're like. You've got fucking 40 agents running, and you're just like, I mean, then it's worth it, right? You get an extra hour.
Now you
to
talk
to
about
manage
like,
these agents. Like,
We might have some weekends or something where like the wife and kids would go away, and I'll just be at home alone. And like the first thing I do is I spend like about an hour I just put all the crap away that's not mine, and then for the rest of the weekend, like the whole house is just amazing. Like it just feels like everything's dialed in. It's nice and clean. Like everything just gets dealt with straight away. And there is this like, so I think to your point, like just a family in a room is just so fucking messy, and there's so much stuff to keep on top of.
There's chaos there.
But like I don't know, like it's as you say, like I still think the payback on that is at the most extreme end. You're probably still only talking a little bit of time. And there is something about like being involved in the cleanup of the house and stuff that I don't know. I just would not want to delegate that off to a robot for the sake of an extra half hour.
Although I've been telling my kids
No, taxes.
that
Fuck that. Like,
Yeah.
they
taxes
won't be
done
doing
by the
chores when they're
robots,
older.
so-
So I've been selling a dream. Hopefully it pans out.
So are you going with the Chinese open source like death machine in the
that's-
house, or are you going with the American remote controlled like
the
talking to
question.
the government
That's the
death
question
machine?
now, right?
Like which death machine do you want in the house?
That's the real question.
Is it T2000 or 3000? Like, which one are you going with?
I'm not sure about
You
that.
haven't watched enough 80s movies. Come on, like you need to.
I understand the dilemma. I like the idea of having something to do my bidding in my house.
I've always wanted a slave.
That's not a human. I'm not like delegating like tasks to someone else to waste their time. I want to free up their time. I want to free everyone else's, the humans' time.
You can just get a fleshlight. You don't need the rest of the robot. Like, you know, come on. It's pretty clear where this is going and what you're going to do with this extra hour a day that you saved.
Next, he's going to say, I don't want to hold the fleshlight. I need a robot.
I need like some sort of harness to put it in.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
That's the kind of comedy that people come to the good stuff for, clearly.
Well, there you go. That's like like minute 51.
Yeah.
That's where the good stuff is.
All right.
Mark it. All right. Well, we know what to call it.
Yeah. A harness for your
How
fleshlight.
do we even get into this again?
Well, you want a robot in the house for some reason. We're talking about robotics. I mean, I am still on the train of it makes more sense to me to have specific robots that actually do something. And I kind of get the argument that like, oh no, well the world is human shaped, so if you have a human robot then
Yeah.
it fits in and it can do anything. But like I feel like in almost any like product design and stuff, if you can do anything, like it's kind of pointless and hard to justify. Whereas if you can, like, if we get so good at this sort of stuff, it's not obvious to me that the cost of manufacturing doesn't just drop and you have a lot more local manufacturing. At which point, well, why not just manufacture the thing that you need for the thing? And why not just have a swarm of agents that are just like little? It's like having a lot of hands for your local agent. And then at least if you control that intelligence and there's all these little tools that can come and go, maybe that's better.
Look, I ultimately I think that an open robot, like something that you can tinker with and control, would be desirable.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, highly desirable. But you know, like, I mean, there is stuff like commoditise for self-driving, and some people use that so they can rig up their cars to use a more open ecosystem for self-driving.
Yeah.
And retrofit it to their cars, or you can get a BYD or a Tesla or whatever, and then that's that closed ecosystem. You lose that control.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly don't think that the open ecosystem version of this is going to be more popular than the closed, unfortunately. But what a rubbish place to be. Like, let's go more positive. What's the positive outcome of this
there's gonna be a
apocalypse?
Positive
Oh,
way
I
to
mean,
run.
like,
You don't have to do the dishes.
I think pursuit of like intelligence for the sake, like in these models, to go back to kind of where we started, is it's like you're doing like fundamental science in some way. You don't know what you don't know what could come of a new discovery, right? Like, so I don't know, thinking back to before the nuclear bomb, like discovering that we could somehow like I don't know what the analogy is, but there's some sort of fundamental science that was seen to not have any application, practical application, and then hey, we got the bomb 20 years later or something, right? So to say that pursuit of intelligence in these models, super intelligence or whatever, is like is goalless.
You're
That
not
is the
doing
goal,
great
right?
things for the
Like
intelligence is a weapon type argument. Like, this is like,
no, it's probably a bad analogy, but like I think that you can't foresee what can come of it, and I'm sure there'll be lots of bad things that come of this technology, but that's true of anything, right? we got nuclear power, we got nuclear weapons. Like,
But I mean, that's the weird thing. We kind of didn't get nuclear power. Like, we started it and then went,
I mean, I think
nah, I think we will get it now.
it's going to happen now.
It's-
Like, it has to.
It's kind of quite frustrating that it didn't get rolled out a long time ago. But, alas.
So, this is just the beginning of us being like this starfaring sort of civilization, right? Like, but
Yeah, I mean, I've always had that view that things will be better in the future. More intelligence, I think, is good. So, I could buy that.
I think you need general purpose robots in space as well, so we can
I
get
think
them in the household first.
I don't
Yeah.
mind them so
Learn
much.
about,
Like,
like,
really, I
I've
don't.
seen it.
I don't mind us launching robots into space, and in a way that it might bother me in my house. It's weird, that, isn't it? Space robot seems fine. Like, by all means, go to space.
Seems like the natural place for them.
Yeah, like, I mean, we've been doing that for years. But yeah, it's the house robot. I mean, obviously, I don't have all the same desires as yourself. But, yeah, I think it's going to be better. There we go.
That's a good positive to end on. Yeah.
All right, shall I say that's the good stuff?
Yep.